Help me to reach 2,000 subscribers. The moment she said it, the room froze around me. My ex is coming to dinner. If you're jealous, you can leave. The words cut through the low hum of conversation and the clink of wine glasses. The laughter from the next table at La Vina suddenly sounded distant, warped, as if underwater. Every eye at our table turned toward me, waiting for my reaction. I looked at her, Lena, my wife of 5 years. Her lips curved in a defiant half-smile, eyes daring me to object. The candlelight shimmered off her glass of Merlot, painting her face in deep crimson tones that matched the tension burning in my chest. Fine, I said quietly. Maybe I will. And I stood up. The scrape of my chair was louder than I expected. She blinked, startled for a moment, then tried to hide it with another sip of wine. The other couples exchanged awkward glances. I turned away before I could see her smirk again. Outside, the night air was cold, cutting through my jacket like shards of glass. I walked aimlessly down the narrow street, past glowing restaurant windows and murmuring crowds. My pulse hammered in my ears. I didn't know if I was angry or heartbroken. Probably both. She'd been distant for weeks, brushing off my questions with short, vague answers. Late nights at work. A locked phone. Subtle changes in perfume. Every sign whispered something I didn't want to believe. And now this, inviting her ex to dinner, taunting me to leave. I got into my car and sat in silence, staring at the steering wheel. The restaurant lights blurred in the rearview mirror. I wanted to turn back, to demand answers, but pride rooted me in place. I drove home instead. The house was too quiet. The living room still smelled faintly of her lavender candles. I poured myself a drink, not to drown the hurt but to keep my hands from shaking. Our wedding photo hung on the wall, a frozen moment of happiness, her head resting on my shoulder, her eyes bright and certain. Now I couldn't look at it without feeling sick. I told myself it was probably nothing. Maybe she was testing me, seeing if I trusted her. Maybe I was overreacting. But the words kept echoing in my mind, if you're jealous, leave. No loving wife says that. At 9:37 p.m., I texted her. Is he there yet? No reply. At 10:05, I tried again. Still at dinner. Read. No response. The silence was worse than anger. By 10:30, I was pacing. Every sound outside made my heart lurch. My mind ran through every possibility. Was she laughing with him now? Did he touch her hand the way I used to? Was she remembering what she used to feel before me? I poured another drink and stared out the window, the night pressing close against the glass. Then, just before midnight, headlights cut across the driveway. Her car. I froze. I wanted to meet her at the door, confront her, demand the truth, but something inside me said to wait. To watch. The engine stopped, and she sat there for a long time. A shadow moved in the passenger seat. My stomach dropped. A man. He leaned toward her, their faces inches apart. Then, a kiss. I couldn't breathe. My body moved on instinct. I grabbed my phone and hit record, capturing the blurred outline of her betrayal. My fingers were trembling so violently the screen shook, but I couldn't stop. I had to see it, to know it was real. When she finally came inside, I was sitting on the couch, lights off, the glow from the hallway spilling across the carpet. She smelled like wine and perfume. Oh, she said, startled. You're still up. Who was in your car? I asked quietly. She hesitated. Too long. Just. Daniel. My ex. We were catching up. Catching up. I repeated. Is that what you call kissing now? Her face went pale. The mask slipped. Tom, please, she whispered. It was just a moment. It didn't mean anything. The words sliced through me. I laughed bitterly, because they always say that. It didn't mean anything. Then why did you tell me to leave? I asked. Why humiliate me in front of everyone? Tears welled in her eyes, but there was something else too, defiance, shame, confusion tangled together. I don't know, she said. You stopped seeing me. You stopped trying. I wanted to feel wanted again. So you invited him back into your life, I said. And you kissed him in our driveway. She started crying then, covering her face with her hands. I watched her crumble, part of me aching to comfort her, another part screaming to walk away. I stood up, the weight of years pressing down on my chest. I'm done, Lena. She looked up, panic flashing across her face. You don't mean that. But I did. I didn't sleep that night. I packed quietly, methodically. Each shirt folded felt like a small funeral. The house was silent except for the sound of her muffled sobs in the bedroom. At dawn, I walked out with a single suitcase and the phone still holding that short, shaky video. The sky was turning from grey to pink, soft and cruel at once. I checked into a motel by the edge of town and sat on the bed, staring at my reflection in the mirror. I looked like someone I didn't recognize, someone hollowed out, emptied by love and betrayal. I thought of deleting the video. I almost did. But something inside me said to keep it, not for revenge, but as proof to myself that I hadn't imagined everything. That love, when it dies, doesn't fade gently, it shatters. A week later, Lena showed up at the motel. She looked thinner, her eyes ringed with sleepless nights. I ended it with him, she said softly. I want to fix this. I stared at her for a long time. Her voice trembled, but her words were careful, rehearsed. You ended it because you got caught, I said. Tears filled her eyes again. Please, Tom. I made a mistake. I still love you. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to go back to the way things were before that dinner, before those words. But the image of that kiss played behind my eyes like a haunting film reel. Love can forgive, but it can't forget. I can't, I said finally. Not anymore. Her shoulders sagged. She nodded, knowing it was over. She left quietly, the sound of her heels fading down the corridor. I sat there long after she was gone, the morning light spilling through the thin motel curtains. Sometimes betrayal doesn't come like a storm, it comes like dinner, like laughter over wine, like a cruel dare that ends with silence and regret. And in that silence, I finally heard myself think clearly. I was free.